May 27th, 2023. It was a quiet summer afternoon in a peaceful Maryland neighborhood. But then, a neighbor noticed something alarming. A thick plume of black smoke rising from a backyard. Concerned, they immediately called the fire department. When firefighters arrived, the blaze had already burned out. At first glance, nothing appeared suspicious. Little did they know, just 4 days earlier, this ordinary house had become the scene of a horrific crime. A 71-year-old woman had allegedly been murdered and brutally dismembered by her own daughter and granddaughter. Her body was burned and cut into more than 67 pieces. This is the shocking story of the murder of Margaret Craig, a loving grandmother known affectionately as Auntie Joyce to her family. As she aged, Margaret suffered multiple strokes and required constant care. The person responsible for looking after her was her 44-year-old daughter, Candace, who lived with her in the same home. From the outside, Candace seemed like the perfect, devoted daughter. But on May 31st, one of Margaret's nephews grew deeply concerned. She hadn't answered his calls in days. He drove to the house and knocked, but received no answer. He contacted the police for a welfare check and messaged Candace to let her know. Her only response was a cold thumbs-up emoji. When Candace finally came to the door, she calmly claimed her mother had gone to stay with a friend. She said she would wait the full 72 hours before reporting her missing. The officer accepted her explanation and left. Margaret was technically an adult, but she was also vulnerable. Her family, however, refused to let the matter rest. Something didn't feel right. 2 days later, on June 2nd, they called 911 again. Officers returned to the house at 1:37 p.m.
Officers, what's this
Candace
about?
let them inside without resistance.
All right, come in.
What they discovered inside would turn this into one of the most disturbing cases they had ever seen. In the basement, investigators found white plastic trash bags, bloodstains, and the overwhelming smell of decaying human flesh. They also recovered a chainsaw, cutting tools, and cleaning supplies. The detectives then questioned both Candace and her 19-year-old daughter, Salia. Candace appeared uneasy, repeatedly touching her neck and back. She insisted her mother had simply walked out one day. Salia's story, however, began to differ. The pieces didn't add up. Then the detective delivered the devastating revelation. We found a dismembered body in the basement. That's when Salia started to break. She admitted hearing her grandmother scream on Monday night. Her mother had told her it was nothing, just her boyfriend knocking something over. Sally also remembered seeing her mother order a chainsaw on Amazon only days before. Bit by bit, the horrifying truth emerged. Candace had been stealing from her mother's bank account for years.
They'll hear us.
Even impersonating
we have
Margaret
to be quiet.
and making purchases long after she was gone.
Yes, confirm that purchase.
When Margaret
and one
finally
more,
confronted
complete.
her about the theft that Monday night, the argument turned fatal. Candace allegedly suffocated her mother with a trash bag. With help from Salia, she then dismembered the body with a chainsaw, bagged the remains, and attempted to destroy the evidence by burning parts on the backyard grill, even cooking chicken alongside them to disguise the smell. The smoke the neighbor reported was part of that desperate cover-up. Salia later pleaded guilty to accessory after the fact. She testified against her mother and received 5 years of supervised probation. Candace Craig was found guilty of first-degree murder. In early 2025, she was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Today, she remains behind bars for the cold-blooded killing of her own vulnerable mother, a woman who had placed her complete trust in her. This case leaves the family shattered by an unimaginable act of betrayal. What do you think about this tragic story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.